Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to History Lesson 158. Today, let's start off with our presidents. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Demure, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Reagan, Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush, and Clinton, George W. Bush, Obama, and Trump. Very good. And your states and capitals. Here you go. Hampshire and Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland, Virginia, Virginia, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee, Southern Alabama, Florida, these are the states of the East Coast, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, Columbus, Indiana, Indianapolis, Illinois, St. Jim, Wisconsin, Madison, Minnesota, St. Paul, Iowa, Des Moines, Missouri, Jefferson City, Arkansas, Little Rock, Louisiana, Mississippi, Jackson, these are the little states.
NSNKOC,
NSNKOC,
North Dakota Bismarck,
North Dakota Bismarck,
South Dakota Pierce,
South Dakota Pierce,
Nebraska Lincoln,
Nebraska Lincoln,
Kansas Topeka,
Kansas Topeka,
Oklahoma City,
Oklahoma City,
Texas Austin.
Texas Austin,
Yeah! Good job. Cal-Kent,
Kent,
California Sacramento,
California Sacramento,
Oregon Salem,
Oregon Salem,
Washington Olympia,
Washington Olympia,
California Sacramento,
California Sacramento,
Arizona Phoenix,
Arizona Phoenix,
New Mexico Santa Fe,
New Mexico Santa Fe,
Texas Austin,
Texas Austin,
Union,
Munich,
Montana Helena,
Montana Helena,
Idaho Boise,
Idaho Boise,
Wyoming Cheyenne,
Wyoming Cheyenne,
Nevada Carson City,
Nevada Carson City,
Utah Salt Lake City.
Utah Salt Lake City,
What's last?
Colorado Denver,
Colorado Denver. What sits on top of Colorado, everybody? Good job. Alaska Juneau.
Alaska, Juneau,
My favorite. Hawaii Honolulu.
Hawaii, Honolulu. Good. Boys and girls, you had some homework that I'd like to go over. You had page 226, Comp Check 18A. You should have written number 1 was to do 2 examples of new technology after the World War II. Do you remember that? You could have put automatic washing machines. You could have put dryers. You know how moms and dads do laundry in the washer and dryers. They invented dishwashers, televisions, microwaves. Any of those would have worked. Atomic energy, maybe jet airplanes or computers, any of those. All right, number 2, who gave a famous speech about civil rights and influenced political leaders to pass the 1964 Civil Rights Act? Good, Dr. Martin Luther King. Number 3, who was the first Black American to become an advisor to the president? An advisor. Weaver, very good. His name was Robert Weaver. And number 4, who was the first Japanese American to serve in Congress? Remember, we had trouble pronouncing his name. Daniel Ken Inouye. Inouye. All right, and you also had to go to page 237 and do numbers 1, 2, and 3, correct? 1, 2, and 3. What was the Supreme Court case that ended segregation in American public schools? Brown versus Board of Education. Number 2, what did Civil Rights Act of 1964 promise? Good, that all races would be able to do what? To vote, to live, remember housing, and have equal job opportunities. Very good. And the third and the last question, who was the first Black Supreme Court Justice? Remember his first name? Thurgood Marshall. Very, very good. All right, let's do a little bit of a review of what you should have read yesterday. We said the court case was Brown versus Board of Ed. And the first Japanese American congressman, he was from Hawaii. Do you remember him? Inouye. Very good. The first Black minister to organize the Civil Rights Campaign, Dr. Martin Luther King. Very good. Who was the first Black American Supreme Court Justice? Thurgood Marshall. Excellent. Who was the first Japanese American woman that was elected into Congress? Good. Mink. That was the last name. Her name was Representative Patsy Takemoto Mink. Mink is what I remember. Very good. And the first Black American to become a cabinet member. Remember, it sits on the president as his advisor, Robert Weaver. And the last one is, what was the name of the act that allowed people to vote and have housing and job rights? Good, the Civil Rights 1964. Very, very good. All right, today, whoops, that shouldn't have been on there. Today we're going to talk about different Americans and their freedoms, okay? Do you remember after the war where the president, his name was President Dwight Eisenhower. He had some great ideas, and his most famous idea, now if you go back to other presidents, they had big ideas too, like the going into the war or staying out of the war and things like that. But this president is someone that I remember as having something positive, something that didn't involve wars, which was a great thing during this time. But he wanted to connect the different states to each other. So, you know, this is a time where many of cars were being produced and different modes of transportation. And so he wanted to connect the states. And he had this idea that he was going to connect the states by these interstate highways. Who's ever been on a highway? I think all of us, right? Riding in a car, going to a different part of the city. We've gotten on the highways. And those highways are what connects different states to each other. That interstate highway was Eisenhower's big idea. And after that is when we started to think about going, not only here on Earth, but going out into space. And so this man named Alan B. Shepard Jr. was the first man to actually travel into space. However, there was a man named John Glenn who was the first to orbit the Earth. Remember, he didn't just go up into space in a space shuttle, but he orbited, he went all the way around the Earth and then came back down to the Earth. The first man to step foot on the moon, do you remember who that is? Very good, it's Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong, he actually got out of the space shuttle and stepped onto the moon. So those few people are really important during this time. I want you to go ahead and read on page 226 to 227 about those people, and also answer the comprehension check on page 227. Okay, you guys have a great day. Have fun reading that, and again, keep your notes. Jot those little details down about those people. This is going to be a big chapter for lots of different information about lots of different people. So good luck, and we will see you back for next lesson tomorrow. Have a great day.